listen. You have been lied to for 2 years straight, and tonight the receipts finally hit the floor. This is not a rumor. This is not a blog whisper. This is a full-blown collapse happening live on every timeline that matters, and if you have been defending the wrong woman, you are about to feel it. Because a man named Chris Blake Griffith just dropped a photo dump on the internet that the industry has been praying nobody would ever see. And Cardi B, or if you want to be technical, Belcalis Almanzar, walked directly into it with her chest out and her mouth open. And now every single person who told her to stay silent is watching the girl combust in real time. Before we go anywhere near those pictures, though, we have to talk about Ming Lee. Because something is happening with that young lady, and I am not being dramatic when I say she looks like she is speedrunning the worst decisions a teenager can make on the internet. I want you to sit with me for a minute, T-lovers, because this is the kind of story that will make you understand exactly why family sometimes has to walk away from family. And by the end of this, I promise you, you are going to look at Nicki Minaj, at Cardi B, at Chris Griffith, at Lil Kim, and at every single person in this mess very, very differently. Give the video a bump before we start. It really does help the channel push, and I will love you for it. Now let us get into it. Ming Lee. Where do we start? A few days ago, Ming Lee sat down with a man named Adam from a blog called No Jumper, and if you know anything, and I mean anything, about the way that culture actually moves, you already know that No Jumper is one of the very platforms that has spent years going out of its way to make Nicki Minaj look small. I am not exaggerating. I am not being petty. I am telling you the receipts are public. There was a whole era where Nicki Minaj could not post a single tweet promoting her own album without No Jumper's account cropping out the promo, cropping out the context, cropping out anything that would make her look like a functioning businesswoman, and then posting only the pieces that made her look unhinged. That was the pattern. That was the entire relationship. And out of every blog on this planet, out of every microphone Ming Lee could have chosen to sit behind, she picked the one with the longest paper trail of disrespect against her own sister. Now, some of you are going to say, well, maybe she did not know. And to that I say, please. Please. Ming Lee is a grown young woman who lives on the internet, and if she did not know, then somebody around her did know and let her walk into it anyway, which is arguably worse. Because that means the same people whispering in her ear are the same people who have been waiting for a Minaj to fall for a very long time. This is the same girl who casually pulled up to Belcalis Almanzar's concert around the same window her sister was being dragged all over the timeline by the exact same crowd. This is the same girl who watched Nicki Minaj build an empire from scratch, watched Nicki Minaj offer her a full college run, watched Nicki Minaj try to protect her from the very industry that is currently laughing at her, and said, nah, I am good, put me in the ring. So of course she is going to keep making choices that do not add up. She has a whole team of grown adults quietly cashing in on her last name. And then, and this is the part that had me shaking my head at my phone for a good 10 minutes, a video started circulating of Ming Lee grinding on some man in a way that I genuinely do not have polite vocabulary for. I am not going to describe the men. I do not have kind words. I do not have neutral words. I am not going to force it. What I will say is that watching that clip felt less like a fun night out and more like a public audition for whichever handler is willing to put her on the poster. Ming Lee, baby, pipe down. What are we doing? What are we actually doing here? Because this is exactly what Nicki Minaj was trying to shield her from when Nicki said, please, go to school, take the safety net, take the boring option, take the option where nobody films you. And Ming Lee turned it down. And now here we are. I want to say this on record so nobody twists it later. I hope Nicki Minaj never lets Natalie Nunn get another inch of runway near that family. Because Natalie Nunn did not care about Ming Lee. She never did. All Natalie ever wanted was a Minaj tag to slap on her own promo run. All she wanted was to say the words, I signed Nicki Minaj's little sister, so she could sell tickets to whatever chaotic circus she was setting up next. And what did that cosign get Ming Lee? Grinding videos. Cardi concerts. A No Jumper couch. Embarrassment on loop. Nothing more. And here is the part that stings the most. We called this on this show, in real time, months ago. We said the second Ming Lee started letting the industry play her like a chess piece, there would come a day, and it might be 5 years from now, it might be 10, but there would come a day when she looks back at that college offer and she cries. Because the same rooms that opened for her only opened because they thought she was a weapon they could aim at her sister. And the moment they realized Nicki Minaj was not flinching, not even a little, not even when Ming Lee showed up on Blueface adjacent stages, not even when the internet tried to weaponize a Cardi concert appearance, the moment they realized that the Queen of the Barbs was not going to spiral because her little sister was making bad choices, guess what those rooms did? They dropped Ming Lee. Cold. And now she is out here grinding on strangers trying to reheat a spotlight that was never really hers. And I will tell you what is wild. I want you to notice something, because the culture never talks about this out loud. The moment Nicki Minaj creates any kind of boundary with Ming Lee, people jump on Nicki Minaj like she is the villain. But when Beyoncé's half-sister came up in conversation not too long ago, oh, the response was different, was it not? Oh, Beyoncé does not owe her anything. Oh, they do not even share the same mother. Oh, Beyoncé is not responsible for another grown woman. Where is that same energy for Nicki Minaj? Where? Because I have not heard it. Not one time. And that double standard is the exact reason Nicki Minaj had to draw a line. Because if Ming Lee stayed close, every embarrassing clip would somehow be Nicki Minaj's fault. Every grinding video would somehow be Nicki Minaj's failure. Every no-jumper interview would somehow be Nicki Minaj's mess. So no, Nicki Minaj was right to step back. And history is going to prove her right. Now, drop it below, tea lovers. Do you think the industry is ever going to pay Ming Lee out? Or do you think, 5 years from now, she is going to sit in a quiet room and realize Nicki Minaj was the only person in her life telling her the truth? I want to hear it. And speaking of Bel Callis, this is where the story slides straight off a cliff. Chris Blake Griffith. Remember that name. Because this is the man who accused Stefon Diggs of assault, and this is the man Bel Callis Almanzar decided, in her infinite wisdom, to publicly antagonize on behalf of her baby daddy. And I told you on this exact channel. Do not, under any circumstance, be caught in life defending a man. Because men will find a way to embarrass you. It is written in the stars. It is written in the code. It is written in every headline that has ever existed. And Bel Callis Almanzar walked directly into that prophecy with a smile on her face. Here is what happened. After Bel Callis Almanzar came online swinging on Chris to protect Stefon Diggs, Chris did not do the polite thing. Chris did not stay quiet. Chris did not take the L. Chris, being the kind of man he is, opened up his phone, opened up his camera roll, and released a full photo dump. A collage. A slideshow. A cinematic. And in those pictures, we see Stefon Diggs. Smiling. Beaming. Genuinely laughing. Looking, and I mean this with my full chest, looking more comfortable than he has ever looked in a single photograph he has ever taken next to Bel Callis Almanzar. And that is not me being cruel. That is not me projecting. That is a comparison anybody with 2 functioning eyes can make in about 4 seconds. And it did not stop there. Chris then released the DMs. Now, I have to be fair, because I am not in the business of convicting a man on vibes alone. The text messages themselves are not conclusive. There are phrases in there that could mean 100 different things, and I am not going to pretend I know the exact context of every emoji and every voice note. But what is undeniable, and I want the court of public opinion to sit with this, is the energy. Stefon Diggs in those pictures with Chris looks like a man on vacation. Stefon Diggs in those pictures with Bel Callis Almanzar looks like a man clocking in. Take that however you want to take it. I am simply reading what the camera gave us. And here is where Bel Callis Almanzar tripped over her own belief system. Because this is the same Bel Callis Almanzar who has spent years telling us she is fluid. Telling us she is open. Telling us she loves women, loves men, loves everybody, and that the community should feel safe and celebrated around her. That is the flag she waves. That is the brand she monetized. That is the persona she built. And yet, the second an accusation lands at Stefon Diggs' door that suggests he may also be fluid, Bel Callis Almanzar comes out swinging and calls it, and I quote, the worst allegation you could ever put on a man. Excuse me? The worst allegation? Worse than what? Worse than the assault charge itself? Worse than a lawsuit? Worse than a public trial? No, ma'am. The worst allegation is that a man might also like men. That is what she said. That is what she meant. And that is the mask slipping right there in front of the whole internet. Because you cannot be an ally on the timeline and a stranger in the DMs. You cannot ride the pride float in June and then treat that same identity like a scarlet letter in July when it is inconvenient to your relationship. You cannot rebrand as fluid to pick up a whole demographic and then, the second the label boomerangs on somebody in your bed, act like it is the ugliest thing that could ever be pinned on a person. Belcalis Almanzar told on herself, and the whole internet is watching in slow motion. Chris then said something that I honestly could not believe he typed with a straight face. He said, and I am paraphrasing here so nobody sues me, CB to CB. Cardi B to Chris Blake. Chris Blake to Cardi B. He looked at that woman through the screen and told her, sister, we are matching. And I do not know what is left to say after that. Because if you are Belcalis Almanzar, at this point, the correct move is silence. The correct move is to fold the bunny costume, fold the tail, put the little ears in a shoebox in the back of the closet, and never open your mouth about this case again. Because every single time Belcalis Almanzar takes a swing at Chris comes back with a receipt. And it is not just that she is embarrassing herself. She is actively compromising the case for the mother of her children's father. She is jeopardizing a legal situation over pride. Which, quite frankly, is exactly why lawyers tell civilians to stay off the internet. I want you to hear me clearly. We are believing the alleged victim in this case, because that is the standard the culture has beaten into us for years. That is the standard Belcalis Almanzar herself has beaten into us for years. And she does not get to change the rules the second the rules land on her doorstep. That is not how any of this works. Push the like button up for me. Push it hard. Because we are about to slide into the Karrie situation, and I want you to be locked in for this one. Karrie. So somebody bought me some coffee this week and asked me to talk about Karrie, and I said, you know what, let us get into it. Karrie apparently just cancelled an upcoming tour that she was supposed to run with an artist named Boss Mandilo. And a statement went out from his camp saying, well, Karrie is no longer joining, so we are pulling the whole run. And then Karrie herself put out a statement saying she is prioritizing her album. She is prioritizing the studio. She is prioritizing her craft. Which, on paper, sounds noble. Sounds like a real artist making a real decision. But here is where the story falls apart. Because I get the strategy, I really do. She is trying to ride the wave of her hit single. She is trying to protect the momentum. She is trying to make sure her album lands in a hot market. But you cannot lightning strike a single and then assume the album will do the same numbers just because the single did. That is not how streaming works. That is not how touring works. That is not how a fanbase gets built. And with summer almost gone, this was the exact window she should have been using to burn that song into every stadium she could get on a plane to. And even if we assume Karrie writes her own material, which is a very generous assumption, plenty of artists on the same schedule as her manage to do both. They tour and they record. They tour and they release. They tour and they build a discography. But here is the joke of the situation. If she is not writing, and I am not saying she is not, but if she is not, then, hey, call up her ghostwriters, call up her partisan, call up whoever it is, tell them to bang out an album in a weekend, and then she can memorize it on the bus. You can literally recite in a hotel room and send the vocals in. That is what a lot of these girls are doing right now anyway. Nobody is going to know the difference. And now we are hearing she is going to be at Summer Jam. So maybe that is the actual reason she pulled from the tour, because Summer Jam is a bigger flex, a bigger stage, a bigger flex on the resume. But she could have done both. Nothing was stopping her from doing both. So I am not buying the album excuse. Not fully. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think Karrie is playing 4D chess with her rollout, or do you think she is scared of the tour numbers? Because I want to know how you read it. And now, listen, because this next bit is going to make 3 people in the comment section very happy. Kimberly. Lil Kim. Yes, I am covering her, because on this channel we cover every woman who has ever picked up a microphone, and I have noticed something. There are 3, and I truly mean 3, Lil Kim fans that camp in my comment section every single week, defending their queen. That is roughly 10% of her active fanbase, mathematically, and I appreciate them so much. Truly. I love the loyalty. I love the commitment. So today I am going to give them their flowers. Kimberly recently dropped a song with French Montana. And I know, some of the 3 of you might not have even known that, because you were too busy typing paragraphs under my videos instead of streaming your girl's music. Let me find out that Lil Kim's own fans are not pulling their weight on the streaming platforms. If I go check her numbers next week and I do not see 3 additional listeners, I am going to be very disappointed in every last one of you. Very disappointed. But in fairness, and I am trying to be fair here because I do not enjoy being mean to a legend, this new record is genuinely better than her recent output. There was help in the room. Somebody in that studio actually said, "Kim, let us do this one right," and it shows. It is not going to touch a natural-born lyricist, obviously. That would be like asking a candle to compete with a bonfire. But compared to the last few releases, it is a real step up. So congratulations to Kimberly for continuing to fight for the last chapter of her career. It matters. Legacy matters. Effort matters. And I respect that she is still putting in the work, even when the odds are what they are. Now, listen. Push the like one more time, hit that subscribe if you are new, and turn on the bell, because the last piece of tea is the one that has me the most heated, and I promise it is worth the wait. Joe Biden. And I do not mean the president. I mean the industry Joe Biden, because that is what we call these fence-straddling, middle-of-the-road, never-say-anything real hip-hop panelists who show up on big podcasts and refuse to take a single actual stance until it is safe. And the tune has changed, y'all. The tune has changed. Because for years, and I mean years, these very same podcasts have told us that numbers are everything. Numbers are the measuring stick. Numbers are the receipts. Numbers are the metric by which we rank greatness. That is what they told us when their guys were pulling numbers. That is what they told us when the industry plants were breaking Spotify. That is what they told us when the payola machine was in overdrive and the manufactured streams were flooding every playlist. And now that the numbers are not landing for their favorite, suddenly numbers do not matter. Suddenly numbers are a scam. Suddenly numbers were never the real metric anyway. Suddenly the panel has discovered nuance. Suddenly the panel has discovered artistry. Suddenly the panel has grown a conscience overnight. It is comedy. It is genuinely comedy. And I want you to lock in on this pattern, because it is the pattern of every rigged conversation in this industry. When Kanye is up, numbers do not matter. When Drake is up, numbers do not matter. When Nicki Minaj is up, numbers do not matter. But the second one of their hand-picked, industry-favorite acts pulls a fabricated first week, break out the champagne, sound the trumpets, call the historians, we are witnessing greatness. That is the con. And you can see the whole game playing out right now, in real time, with this new artist they are trying to force down the culture's throat. He put out a freestyle. He put out a diss. He was banking on either Nicki Minaj or Drake to clap back so his rollout would have some heat under it. And guess what? Nicki Minaj ignored him. Drake ignored him. Both of them walked past him like he was a puddle on the sidewalk. And now his whole promo machine is stuck in the mud, and the panelists whose job it is to prop him up are already preparing the audience to accept that his numbers are going to be bad. That is what all of this is. That is the whole game right there. Numbers do not matter today because their guy cannot pull them tomorrow. And it always works the same way. Kanye West, love him or hate him, and I am somewhere in the middle on Kanye West most days, is an internationally certified creative. His shows sell out on 3 continents. His tours print money. He is a genuine cultural force. So of course this next generation of industry plants is trying to replicate the theatrics, the delays, the mystique, the tortured artist branding. But the audience is not stupid. The audience is figuring it out. The younger listeners, in particular, are watching this rollout with the same face you make when you catch a stranger lying on the phone. And the barbs have been clocking every inconsistency, one by one, in real time, and getting blocked for it, of course, because that is the only response these plants ever have. Block the truth. Silence the receipts. Play the victim. So let me bring it all the way home. Ming Lee is embarrassing herself because the industry told her she could get famous off a last name that was never hers to spend. Belcalis Almanzar is embarrassing herself because she was told loyalty looks like a public sword swing, when in reality Chris Blake Griffith was sitting on a photo album the whole time waiting for her to open her mouth. Karrie is embarrassing herself because she is trying to sell you an album strategy when the real answer might just be that she cannot carry a tour on her own. And the panel Joe Biden of the industry is embarrassing themselves because their metric changed the second their favorite artist could not clear the bar their own metric set. the mask is going to slip. On all of them. One at a time. Because the truth about this culture, and I want you to write this down, is that the receipts always outlive the rebrand. Always. Every time. You can spin, you can lie, you can pay for placement, you can pay for panels, you can pay for playlists, you can pay for pundits. What you cannot pay for is the day the camera roll finally goes public. And that day has arrived for Belcalis Almanzar this week. It arrived for Ming Lee the moment she chose the no-jumper couch over a college classroom. It arrived for Karrie the moment she dodged the tour. And it is going to arrive for every industry plant currently being propped up by a panel that used to swear by numbers. So tell me down there. Down in the comment section. Who do you think crashes out first? Is it Belcalis Almanzar, who cannot stop tweeting at the man holding the receipts? Is it Ming Lee, who is one bad interview away from a full family statement? Is it Karrie, whose album may or may not survive the delay? Or is it the panel that lost its own metric the second its favorite artist could not pull the number? I want your answers. Every single one of them. Because I read them. I really do. Even the mean ones. Especially the mean ones. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, tea lovers. You already know the drill. If you made it this far, push the like, hit subscribe if you have not already, and turn that little bell on so the moment I drop the next one you know about it first. And before you leave me, go watch the last video where we broke down exactly why the Belcalis Almanzar and Stefon Diggs situation was destined to end up here from the very beginning. It slaps different now that Chris Blake Griffith has entered the chat. Trust me. Go check it out. And until then, I love you, I appreciate you, and I will catch you in the next one.